What's going on, everyone? This is our final episode in the branding series. Such a great series, and I'm excited to hear how we're going to wrap this up.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Today we're going into creating an experience. A lot of people don't think of an experience as branding.
So important.
How you make people feel is so important. So let's get into it.
Let's go.
The Business Project Podcast.
Business can be complicated.
We break it down so regular people like us
Can understand and find success. I'm John Crespo, accountant and consultant.
I'm Casey Bryant, marketer and event planner,
If you run a business,
or want to run a business.
welcome to the show. All right, so branding and how you feel. It makes people feel a certain way.
It does. And a lot of times when a business is getting started and creating their branding, they don't even think about it. They just say,
The majority
hey,
don't think about it, for sure.
Hey, I like these colors, or I like this font, or this looks good together, this is pretty. But they don't really think about being intentional about what those colors, how those colors make people feel. Because certain colors are associated with certain things, not intentionally in their brain. And also certain fonts make you feel a certain way, and certain shapes make you feel a certain way. And so today we're just going to talk about how you make people feel with your branding. Also, it's not just colors and shapes and fonts. It's the customer experience.
The sound, the look, the feel,
The smell
all that.
is part of your branding.
You know what? That's funny that you bring that up, because it makes me think of a couple businesses out there, like different industries. So you go to a bank, right? And it looks like the colors or the feel that you have in the bank is all about spending money or something that has to do that financially. And it makes you kind of put you in that mode. But when you go to a spa, right? If you're going into a spa, one that's really nicely put together, and there's a smell, a relaxation. Like you go in and you smell the relaxation. Like you ever feel that way? Mm-hmm. Not that I go into spas all the time.
I'm like, okay,
maybe
John.
I need one. But it reminds me of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it is. It's so intentional about how they make you feel. And you even think within within each business, type of business. So think of the banks. Mm-hmm. You go into different banks. You guys try that. Go into different businesses. Next time you go into a business, just really pay attention to the way that you feel when you walk in that business.
Yeah.
How are you greeted? How does it smell? Is it bright? Is it dark? Is the music playing? Is the customer service good? The colors? Does it feel warm and welcoming, or does it feel like cold and corporate? And so once you start paying attention to that, that is part of that business's branding. I love to talk about, there's a church that I went to for a really long time, and I was on staff at that church, and I found out that there is a certain smell. So they have like smell dispensers all over the church.
Really?
And the pastor went and smelled like 20 different smells and found this one smell. And so now they have it all throughout the church. And
Does it make you more holy?
Yeah, probably.
You feel the Holy Spirit with that
Maybe,
smell?
Yeah. Anytime I smell it, I'm like, fill me, Lord. But now anytime I smell something similar to that, I think of that church.
It brings you back.
It does.
I got that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And you think about, your grandma's cookies or whatever. If your grandma made chocolate chip cookies, and anytime you smell that smell, like that's kind of part of your grandma's branding.
It's like deja vu sometimes, right? It just reminded me, like I can be walking down the street or just go into a building somewhere, or just be doing something. All of a sudden, there's this smell that just triggers this nostalgic, like deja vu kind of feeling.
Brings you back.
So that's very important. If you do it, like you said, intentionally, like you have to be intentional. I like that word, intentionally. If we approach what we do with intention, then you're gonna find the right kind of pieces and the right looks and the right smells that make people have the nostalgic feeling like you just had when they come across it. That is very important.
It is very important. And I think people get overwhelmed because there's so many pieces to it. There's the fonts and the colors and the shapes and the logo and the feel of the paper and all those things that we talked about in our last podcast. But then there's also the smell and the lighting and the color of the furniture. And is it, hard furniture? Is it cushiony furniture? Like all of that stuff, the pictures on the wall, the color of the paint, like all of that stuff matters. And so I think there's just so many things that sometimes we're like, okay, we're just going to pick this because we like this, or this is cheap, so we're going to buy it. But the way all of those things come together is so important. And you can really use this as an advantage in your business, like the church with the smell. That is something that they created, whether it was intentional or not. Now, every time I go somewhere and I smell that smell, I think of that church. And you can create that in your business.
Right.
And I think even, restaurants is a great example of this too. I have a friend, I never even paid attention to this until I started eating with this friend, but she is obsessed with when a business opens, like, how does this make me feel? And so she's the one that I like to go to all the grand openings with, because she really notices the lighting. She notices, is the music too loud, or is it too rambunctious? Is the, the feel of the silverware and the plates and all of the things, does it fit together and does it make me feel good? And so I think if you are in an environment where people are coming to your business and experiencing your business by being there, then all of these things really, really matter.
And I think that's, if you do that, then you're creating an environment where your clients can want to come back to, right? So a restaurant, right, that creates that right feel, that right look, that right smell, creates the environment where they're going to have those customers that just that's their go-to spot, where it becomes their go-to spot. So it's making you or me, like your friend, feel that certain way. If she really likes it, then she's going to visit again. So repeat clientele is huge for a business to be successful.
Yep. And making sure that your branding makes them feel a certain way so that they'll want to feel that way again. That's what our bodies go towards, pleasure. And so if you create a pleasurable experience all the way around, then they're going to want to experience that again. And maybe they would even be willing to pay more for that experience.
That's good. Make them pay up.
Yes.
Be intentional.
Be intentional. So, excuse me. We'll talk about not just let's get into the colors first, because I feel like there's a lot of layers and it can get overwhelming.
Yeah.
So let's get into the colors. I made some notes. Obviously, like, as you're creating your branding, and if you already have branding, these are some really good things to consider. I listen to a podcast that I absolutely love. I've been listening to this podcast for years. It's amazing. She has a little jingle at the beginning that I love, and even my kids have gotten to know the little jingle. And her podcast, she does a great job with her branding. Well, she recently announced that she's completely rebranding. She's changing her jingle. She's changing her logo and her things. And I'm panicking a little bit, because I'm that's part of my life. I love your little jingle. It makes me so happy. But that's a great example of, she's been doing it for a while, and she wants to update and create something new. And I will love that one, I'm sure, just as much as I did the old one. And so that's I'm using that as an example. Even if you've been in business for a long time, you can still update and you probably need to update your colors and your fonts and your jingles and all those things that are associated with your business.
Yeah, I agree with that. You look at these big companies, every now and then they refresh their look, whether it's softening the way the font looks, going from rigid font to rounder font and stuff like that. They keep the same foundation sometimes, or for the most part, I see them keeping the same foundation, but doing just minor adjustments to refresh, to keep it with the time. Because I guess, as time changes, so does what people relate to.
And styles, right? And colors. And they have, if you look at vintage logos, vintage logos look very different from 2023 logos.
Yeah.
You know, it's just there's different style techniques. So let's talk about colors really quick, because colors can be used very intentional. If you look at bank's a good example. We just talked about banks. Blue, a lot of them use the color blue because blue is very, you have blue in your logo.
Yep.
Blue is very,
I'm not a bank though.
No.
Wish I was.
Yeah.
Well, not right now. They're suffering right now.
No, not right now. Yeah, so blue makes you feel comfortable. It's like comfortable and cozy, and it's associated for the most part with feeling secure. And so that's why a lot of banks use blue in their logo.
Yeah. A lot of them use blue.
A lot of them do,
Yeah,
because
very
they're
true.
very smart. Bold colors, bold and bright colors attract attention. And so you got red, right? Red on blue. So you want people to feel comfortable with you, which is great for your branding. Those are actually really, really good colors for what you do, because that's what you're a business coach and you work with people's finances and their numbers. And so that's really important. But then the red is like pop, like, hey, look at me. CFD Services Inc.
Is
Let's
here.
do this. Yes. And so colors can just be a very, very important part of your branding, and being intentional as you're picking your colors is so important. So let's see some other ones. Red is associated with passion and excitement. Blue with calmness and relaxation. So persuasion, colors can be used to persuade customers to purchase. Green is often associated with health and wellness. And so a lot of times when you see food packages that are supposed to be healthier.
Publix.
What color? Yeah, Publix.
Publix is green.
Exactly. And I'm a big fan of organic and all of that stuff. And almost all the packages are brown and like cream and green.
Yeah. Very interesting. I didn't realize that. You know, you said persuasive. The color of persuasion. I want to know what that color is so I can use it on my wife.
The color of persuasion. Yeah. Just wear that, because she's going to be like, man, you wear that color all the time.
Yeah. Yes, there's a reason.
So
it's
funny.
intentional.
It's so funny. Anytime you get in a fight and you have to have a serious talk,
I
you
wear
have
that color.
Hold on, I'll be right back. I have to go change.
Very
That
good.
is so
See,
funny.
that can be used in all kinds of aspects of life, not just business.
Yeah, very true. So contextual association, they can also be used to create associations with certain context or cultures. So for an example, red and gold are associated with good luck and prosperity in the Chinese culture. So
Very
you
cool.
think, like I think of, Africa, we have a store, an African market here, and you walk in and everything is so colorful, like reds and yellows and greens. That's because in Africa, that's a lot of their culture is very
Love that.
colorful. So if you're American fast food restaurant, your colors are probably going to be very different than if you're, a Chinese buffet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very true. I'm just thinking about how I'm driving down the main drag here with all the chain restaurants and noticing how their color structure is. Yeah, you can tell the difference.
You can. Yep. So just some things to consider when you're picking colors. And, you don't have to use a lot of these if you're trying to persuade somebody or do something. You can use, these are just things that you can use also in the background of your branding. So when we create your branding, you have your logo, but then you also have your accent colors that you're using. And so, for example, if you're making a brochure and you want people to look at that brochure and just feel calm and comfortable as they're reading it, then you might want to consider using some blue in that brochure.
Very cool.
Or even blue in the pictures of the brochure.
Very cool. And I think that the main point is that you should be intentional, right? You should look at your business and say, what is the purpose of why are we in business, right? Who is our target market, right? And then be intentional about what you put into place to attract that market.
Yep. That's a good point.
Important.
Knowing your target market too.
Yeah. Businessproject.com teaches all of that.
It does, yes. And our very first series, we did an amazing first series. We went through all of this. So just to close up the first part of this, we're going to go over several aspects of it. So the first part was just paying attention and being intentional with your colors and your font. Scripty is usually girly, and block is taking control and masculine. And so as you're creating these logos and your brochures and your online and your print, which we talked about previously, it's not about what you like, and it's not about what you think looks pretty, but about your target market.
Very true. Very true. So important. Yeah.
Yeah. So then we talked a little bit about the way it makes you feel. This is the second part, the way your business makes people feel. And there are so many aspects that go into this part of it, because it's when they're walking in your building, when they're calling you on the phone, when they are, receiving emails, when they are, when they see a commercial or they see a brochure, or they go to your social media. Like, all of this is incorporated in your branding, and it's how you make people feel. So let's talk about systems, because I think this whole point is the best way to think about it, and I feel like make it a little less overwhelming, is to think about the systems that you put in place in your business.
Yeah.
And not just putting a system in place just to make things easier, to delegate, but to put these systems in place to make sure that you are being very intentional about the way you make people feel when they go through your systems.
About their experience, client experience. I used to work for a big bank, right? And one of the major focuses after a while was putting yourself in the shoes of your client, right? Approach your day putting yourself in the shoes of your client. So when it comes to the systems that you're implementing for your business, you have to implement them with the mindset of how are they going to feel going through this process and interacting with us? Is it going to be a good client experience, or is it going to be rough? Like when you're calling these big companies and you're on the phone on hold forever, it's a bad experience, right? Or you're pushing 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then pound, and all that stuff just to get to somebody. That's a bad experience, right? So as a small business, how are you putting the right processes in place to ensure that the client experience is going to be a good one, right? To increase engagement and interaction.
Yeah. And I think it's really hard sometimes as a small business to think about this, because we wear a lot of hats. So like, we're involved in the accounting, and we're involved in the emails, and we're involved in the answering the phones, and we're involved in creating the website and all of these things. And so we get, like, it makes sense to us because we know our business and we know the process and we know the ultimate, like, where they want to go. But then when somebody brand new comes in that has never seen your business before and they go through that same process, it may make absolutely no sense to them, because they've never heard of your business. They have no idea what you do. So I think as you're creating these systems, thinking about customer experience from the customer's perspective, that's really great, not just your perspective.
Yep. That's going to be huge, because it's not you that's paying you. It's your customer that's paying you. So you want to make sure that they're fine with paying you and then willing to pay you again.
And nowadays, people's attention span is so short. If they go to your website and they don't automatically see where they need to go to contact you or get what they need, they're off to another website.
Yep, so true.
Same with your Facebook page. I do
it all the time.
Yeah, me too. Yep. So when you create some systems, I think to just consider is the customer experience when they're walking in your door. If you have people that come in, from the moment they walk in your door, how they feel, like we had mentioned, the lighting, the music, the look and feel of the furniture, the color of the walls, the sound, the smells, all of that, just being very intentional about when they walk in your door, when
the greeting,
right? Exactly.
That's important.
Yep. And then when they see your business online or on print, does that all work in a cohesive manner? Because if they see your website and then they walk in your store and it feels like two completely different businesses, they're going to be disconnected. That's not a good thing. You want it to flow from the online to the print to the experience, even when they call you. Emails, if you have any sort of email subscription set up, what is that called? The email chains that you have set up in your business. Even, the way your emails look is a reflection of your business and how people feel. And so if you're, wanting to come across as a business that provides is very trustworthy and provides a lot of information, and like you're there whenever they need you, then your emails need to look that way, and they need to come across that way, not salesy. And you can probably think of some businesses right away. I'm trying to think of, there's a knife commercial that's like, back in the 90s, to where it's like, any of this, the
Gingsu, was it the Gingsu knife?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, any of those. What's that shopping network? Like
Home Shopping.
Yeah,
Home Shopping
buy
Club?
one and get 3 free now, and it like lays all 3 across. If that's the way you want people to feel when they see your business,
Infomercial style.
Yes. Then that's one form of marketing, and that's one form of branding, and just feel. And that needs to go all the way when they go to your website. Then they need to see, like, look at these beautiful things and how it works. Like, buy one and get 3 free now. It's all about price and just selling multiple amount. And they feel like, oh, special, I get 3. How amazing is that?
Right.
They feel like they were taken care of in that way. But if you're more on quality and, you trust me because you're only going to have to pay me once and it's going to be done right, and
value focused,
then that's a very different feeling from the very beginning to the very end.
Very true. Yeah. And that goes into, like we said before, is understanding who your market is and understanding what you're trying to do. If you want to be a discount retailer and you want to sell volume, then the infomercial style might work for you, right? But if you want to be a maybe advisory type of person or some type of value add for someone, then you want to make sure that that's what they feel when they look at everything that you're throwing at them. They want to see that there's value associated with it, and it goes into pricing as well.
And pricing and systems. And think of a fast food store. I think this is one restaurant. This is one that we can all relate to quickly. Is if you go into a fast food restaurant, those all look very like everything is made to be quick, right? The customer service, the way you order is quick, the drive-through's quick, and usually you get your food quick. So if you go into a fast food restaurant and it takes 20 minutes to get your food, you're probably not going to be happy,
right?
Because that was what you expected from the website to the way you ordered to the way it was handled. Whether you should know it's a fast food restaurant by all of those processes that they've put in place. So if you go there and you expect that one thing and you get another thing, you're going to be really upset. Even
the seating. You ever notice the seating in a fast food restaurant? Like, it's meant for you not to sit there for a long time.
It's hard.
Eat your food and go.
And cold. Yeah.
We need to get people moving in and out.
Exactly.
Yeah. So but it's part of their brand. Right? And you kind of go in there expecting that. And it's okay. People do it. People still do it if they're in a rush to go nowhere.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So
plastic seats.
Plastic hard seats.
Prison seats.
And temperature, that's another one, is a lot of times the restaurants are colder because they want you to eat and they want to turn those tables. So they intentionally make it cold so that you'll eat and peace out.
Very true. Oh, you know what? I noticed that.
Yeah.
The other day we were at a restaurant and it was like, it's extra cold in here. But there's a purpose behind that.
They're like, eat and leave, sir.
Yeah,
we need another person to sit down.
Yes. We got to pump you guys out.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Just now that you can after this conversation, and I don't know if the audience is having the same kind of like thought process around it, but now you're able to think about the different experiences you had when you went to different places and start picking out, okay, that's why they did this. Okay, that's why they did that. This is important. That's why this is important. It's because when you understand it, then you know how to implement it.
Yeah, for sure. And so we hope that this was super helpful. We went over a lot today. I feel like it's just a lot to think about. And don't be scared to reach out to your other business owner friends and your friends in general. You can reach out to us on social media and engage in our community and just, say, hey, this is what I'm trying to create. Is that what this feels like?
Yeah.
Because it's very, very important. You're not going to be able to do it by yourself, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You just can't because you're so into your own business.
Very true. Get out of your silo, get out of your bubble, right? And communicate with the community, with us, with the business project, because that's what we're here for.
Yeah. Don't feel bad about doing it.
Nah, because we're all going through it.
We are. Everybody is. So
like, share, subscribe, so this gets out to the masses, because Everyone needs to hear this.
Yes. Download. It superly helps us.
Yes,
when you download, whether you're on Apple or Spotify or iHeartRadio, if you click that download button, it helps our stats.
That's right. Let's go.
Give us
Let's
a
push this
review.
out. Yeah.
So important. All right, guys. We did good. We're at like 25 minutes.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Not bad. We're
Yeah.
trying to make them shorter for you. Short, sweet, and to the point.
Yep. We know you guys have things to do.
Yes. So our next podcast will be a summary of our second series.
Cool.
Which was our finance series, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes.
It'll
nice.
It'll be a whole summary of our finance series. So if you missed the finance series, we're just going to give you a quick 30-minute recap of the whole thing.
Yeah, that's
in
getting
one
loans and
podcast.
business credit and all that stuff. That's going to be good. I can't wait for that to come out.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
And then our next series after this is interviews.
Yes, we get some industry heavyweights to chime in. That's going to be fun. So follow along because we have some great content coming out for you.
I'm really excited. We've already done several interviews and we have several more scheduled, and this is by far my favorite so far.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait for you guys to hear from some of these people. I mean, some of them are amazing in business.
They are.
All of them are amazing in business.
They are.
Yeah.
They're heavyweights. I'm telling you. So you're going to want to listen in and follow along because it's going to be some good nuggets.
Yes. Cool. Well, thank you guys.
You guys have a great one.
We'll see you later.
Peace.